Good morning, pranams everyone, pranams. I'm very happy to be here with you today. Let us begin with a prayer. Om Sahana Bhavatu Sahano Bhunaktu Sahaviryam Karavavahai Tejasvi Navadi Tamastu Mavidvishavadhai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Father, Mother God, we humbly bow to you. I bow to the saints and sages of all religions. I bow to the lineage of Kriya Yoga masters, and I bow to the living power of God within you all. We come together at this satsang to share holy company and to be together in the presence of the masters. Let us be present and enjoy this love and caring together. Amen. So good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are. I'm very happy to share this time with you. I'm on the West Coast, and so we're 8 o'clock in the morning. At this time, we remember Gurudev's Mahasamadhi. So we've shared some beautiful days of commemoration already from centers around the world. And I am so humbled by some of the images and talks that I've seen and heard. It's just been beautiful for me. So some of the footage I'd never seen before, and I'm so grateful for all the work that was put into this tribute for Gurudev. So if you haven't been following, please go to YouTube and pick up some of the images, particularly from India. It's just been beautiful. So at this time, I feel so immersed in the flow of Baba these days that I want to, I prepared the talk to talk about the Mahasamadhi, and I will continue that flow, even just because we're in it, and why not be? And so some of the messages may be repetition, but from what I've learned in the teachings, and each time I see the masters, they say what they want us to know and remember. So if it feels like repetition, just bear with it and wait for the gems. So each of us has our own our own relationship with the Guru. And I'll be speaking from the lens that I know him, as I know him. So I was blessed to be in Miami at the time that of his Mahasamadhi, and I'll be able to share some of my experiences and memories from that time. So Paramahamsa Hariharananda left his body on December 3rd, 2002 at the age of 95, and he was surrounded by loving monks and disciples. So Mahasamadhi describes the state where fully realized masters consciously leave their body. And this is only possible when someone achieves the God-realized state of Nirvikalpa Samadhi and gains control over their breath and their bodily forces to let go of their body at will. Gurudev left us in such a peaceful and loving way. There was much sadness, of course, at the time, but his presence was so tangible that his blessings were felt by all who were there. Gurudev was taken to the hospital on December 2nd, the day before his Mahasamadhi. And the next day, students were notified that they could come to see him for a last darshan. I recall meeting Prajnanananda ji at the door of the hospital room and hearing him direct me saying, "Go in, look, and go." I went in and found a spot in the corner to pray and offer my love. Now, I was someone who always saw Baba in his form, but that morning, I was gifted with the experience of knowing Baba in the formless state. Now, that experience was the sweetest, most gentle, and loving experience of my life. It came just like that. It swept over me. Then quickly it was time for me to leave the room and return to the ashram and continue calling for disciples and letting them know that Baba may soon be leaving us. At 6:48 p.m. that evening, Baba took his last conscious breath. Several disciples I spoke with in those days told, how Gurudev appeared to them. Some were driving their cars or doing a task at the time, and Baba appeared before them, and they felt his tangible love and received his blessings that evening. His body was taken to India, where a beautiful Samadhi mandir was built on the property at Baligai. It was built with utmost love, and the construction itself was an amazing feat. It was all constructed by hand without the benefit of the heavy equipment we use in the West. And this mandir is huge. Now, I have some photos of the mandir showing the workers carrying heavy loads up handmade ladders. And there was so much work and love that went into designing it and constructing the mandir. It stands forever as a loving tribute to Gurudev and how much work can be accomplished by many hands working together. My love goes out to all who participated. So we'll look at some photos now of that mandir. Here's a shot of the mandir in the back, and we see a plaque, a sign with one of Gurudev's sayings on it. God is one, religions are many. So this is part of the tribute to him. Here's a piece of the constructing the mandir. And you can see the rickety ladders and the handmade bamboo things to get this big lotus up on top. And here are the manpower that it took to get that lotus up there. So it's all done by hand. And here we see what we need to do for the landscaping. Now, these may be the stones that came in or going out, but anyway, all this will be taken care of by hand. And here we see the completed model. The completed piece is not the model. And this is a shot I took when I visited in the centenary celebration in 2008. This is the interior of the mandir, and this is where Baba's body is. They do not cremate realized masters, so his body is there. And there's a nice statue and natural lighting. And around the 8 sides of the mandir are tableaus of the Kriya Yoga lineage. And here's a shot that is decorated for a puja. So you can see how beautiful the natural lighting is. We'll take that down. Now we can get a taste of Guru's legacy by going on pilgrimage or visiting this beautiful mandir, but his legacy is not in the shrine. His legacy lives in the lives of the students, in our love, and how we live out his teachings. Now today I want to talk about the legacy of Gurudev's humility. This single quality of his speaks volumes of what he was teaching us and how we are to live. If you've ever received a letter from Gurudev, you know he always signs it, Humble Hariharananda. So what is humility and how can we get an idea of the principle? There's a quote by C.S. Lewis that describes humility simply. A really humble man will not be thinking about humility. Well, he will not be thinking about himself at all. So I have some more images that I want to share as we open the topic of humility and on being humble. To be humble is to bow, is to bend. Now we think of a tree as being strong, but if it is unmovable, if it's rigid, would it have the same strength that it does when it bends? Or would it snap under its rigidity? We are the same. Now this image shows the apple tree that is surrendering, it's bending under the weight of so much fruit. Now, Mother Nature provides us with so much that all this tree and that all we can do is surrender under that noble offering. Now, we are asked to be just this humble. Now, when I first met Baba, he directed me to bow and to bow and to bow again. Now, I don't think it was because I was bringing so much pride into the room, but he knows the healing power of bowing in our practice. Just think of it, that this is when we outline the steps. Step one is to bow. That's how we start our Kriya practice. We are given so many gifts, just like this tree, that we are meant to be flexible and to bend with those gifts. Now, the Kelp Forest is another example of humility in nature. Now, the kelp bends and shifts with the tide and the waves. And when a storm comes, the surfaces get turbulent and often violent. Yet there is flexibility in each plant for it to move and bend. Imagine the flexibility required to live in an environment that is constantly in motion with the strength and the power of the surf and the sea. Now we learn from the kelp to be extremely flexible. We practice flexibility when we do our Mahamudra. Think of all the times Gurudev talked about the benefits of Mahamudra. This is how we keep our body and our minds flexible. Now, also thinking of the kelp, it's rooted. So how can we prepare ourselves to live with that degree of flexibility and willingness to bend? I believe it's being in a state of balance. Finding the middle way and being unattached to the pleasures and free from the fear of pain. I like to think of this fulcrum right here that keeps things in balance, as we can see on this chart, as the same fulcrum that Baba tells us to stay in the fontanelle. He always reminds us to stay with pinpointed attention. He says, search him in the fontanelle. This is what we need to do. And from here, from this point, this fulcrum point, we can experience balance and we can make our choices and we can be free from duality and attachments. It's really the be here now place. If you are locked and focused in the fontanelle, it's where you're going to be taking conscious breaths and being really in the moment. So I'm going to stay with the fulcrum image a little bit more and talk about, let's see, what do I want to talk about? How this seesaw, the teeter-totter kind of metaphor, works and shows us the duality, how duality works in our lives. I love this image of the teeter-totter and the fulcrum as the metaphor because our life is in such delicate balance. Every time we judge someone, the teeter-totter tips. And we get out of balance. And then when someone else judges us, oh, there we go again. So over and over and over, we go up and down and up and down. Instead of judging, we need to be the witness, to be an instrument of peace. Genuinely humble people are masters of self-awareness and are constantly acknowledging their tendency toward pride. Let's look at another image. Now, these rocks are beautiful, peaceful, and they are in balance. Now, the sides don't appear the same, and they clearly are not the same. Is one side better than the other? No judgments. And what does it matter which side, what's on one side or what's on the other? There is balance and there is tranquility and there is peace. If we let it, the world will be in peace. That is the goal, after all. So we're asked to witness without judging. So witness what is rather than judging what it is. Just stay with what is in front of you. Now, Gurudev said, the more you give, the more you will receive. And the more you love, the more you will be loved. The more you teach, the more you will learn. It's very simple to remember, right? But just the same, the more we criticize others, we will be criticized. And if we speak badly of others, others will speak badly of us. Whatever we give, we will receive more of the same, he said. Now, I can't help but show this image of Hanuman as a prime example of egolessness. But then a new image, I had this in the slideshow, but then a new image came through this week with all this some Mahasamadhi information. And I want to share it as well. Gurudev tells us to be humble and practice humility faithfully. Humility is not something that just comes to us. We need to practice it. Our humility is tested in so many ways. Are we showing pride, jealousy, criticism, or are we forgiving and disciplined and bending with patience? If we practice and really develop our tendency for humility, being outside of our ego, staying off that teeter-totter, being in balance, we will develop the nature and character and conduct of one who is always trying to be humble and loving. We see this with Prajnanananda ji as our example and what he learned from Gurudev. So really take this to heart. This is what Gurudev's legacy is about. Now, Kriya Yoga is the path of the middle way, and humility is the state of being in the middle. Giving up the ego and loving without expectation. In Guruji's book, Humility, the Stepping Stones to Spirituality, he gives some practical tips for living with humility. Now, an important lesson to remember is that humility is a strength, not a weakness. We saw with the apple tree and the kelp forest. He warns us that there will be those who respond to humility as a sign of weakness, but this is not true. When we are out in the world of endless competitions, we are to show our skill and talents in the world while we stay tender to ourselves. Think of that. We are given so much abundance. We need to be humble and practical. Develop all the skills to be successful in all that you do, but cultivate humility and gratitude as well. Let go of the ego. Let the power of God be the actor in the drama of our lives. Feeling that you are the doer breeds ego. Surrender bestows humility. Gratitude holds us in the middle. When talking this material over with another Kriyavan, she shared what she includes, that she includes nobility in humility. Now, this is the level of strength I'm talking about. And I want to get this now. Okay. Remember this picture of Baba? Yeah. He is standing in all strength and nobility. Just look at him. He's a noble character, yet he is humble and sweet and strong. There's so much strength in that pose. Guruji gives some steps to develop our humility. He says, speak less, listen more. Shift your thinking from speech of me and mine to we and all. By thinking of others, we are being truly useful in service to others. Humility is not about not thinking less of yourself. So humility is not thinking less of yourself, but thinking of yourself less. And it is not talking less about yourself, but it is talking about yourself less. So scale it back. In the Yoga Sutras, chapter 2, verse 1, we learn that Kriya Yoga is tapas, svadhyaya, ishta pranidhana, service, study, and devotion. Guruji outlines the 3 golden rules to being humble. 1, don't react. Listen patiently and respect others. Now, service, study, and devotion are all actions. Humble people are active. They're peaceful and calm. Baba directed us to be actively calm and calmly active. We are not asked to not act. We are asked to act. So the 3 points: don't react, listen patiently, and respect others. Be very careful to stay calm rather than to react. This will keep the peace for all. So there are many attributes to spirituality, and humility is the one we explored today in honor of Gurudev. Guruji states that humility offers complete freedom from desire to impress, to be right, and to get ahead. If we truly want the taste of freedom, the first step is to cultivate humility in the eyes of God as well as in the eyes of other people. I have one more image for us. It is said that humility is the root, spirituality is the shoot, and divinity is the fruit. The root should be well protected with love, prayer, and submission. May you be blessed with a humble heart that you may protect your divinity by protecting the precious humble roots. Oh, wait. Oh, I'm sorry, you didn't see the picture. Just one moment. Yeah. There we go. Humility is the root, spirituality is the shoot, and divinity is the fruit. The root should be well protected with love, prayer, and submission. So with that, we'll close this talk on humility in honor of Gurudev's Mahasamadhi. And next, we'll have some time for meditation. So let us prepare for meditation. We'll start by sitting comfortably in your chair. We'll begin with a prayer. Om Trayambakam Yajamahe Sugantim Pushtivardhanam Urvaruka Mipapantanan Mrityo Mukshiyamamritat. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Bring your awareness to your breath. Feel it coming, entering your nostrils, and going to the point between the eyebrows. Be very conscious of your breath. Let us connect with Gurudev through our breath. Ask his presence. Think of him. Think of his humility. His flexibility to come to the US and teach Kriya Yoga at the age of 75 years old, or 70 years old. Without that flexibility and courage to come to the West, many of us would not be sitting here today. Let us have that kind of flexibility to go from home to home, teaching. Baba taught us to love every breath. Let us love him in each breath as we inhale. Take your attention to the fontanelle, that fulcrum, that point where he teaches to give pinpointed attention. Let that be your root. Now deepen your breath. This long, slow, deep inhalation and exhalation. Still with your attention focused. And still with your attention and love locked onto Baba. You take a long, slow, deep inhalation and bend forward and bow. Let all your ego run out of you in this bow. You're developing your flexibility when you bend. Breathe and relax. Let everything go. This is a way for you to get in touch with the flexibility and letting go. Now again, inhale, slow, long, deep, and sit straight. Exhale. Perceive your change with your attention back at the top. Record in your memory that simple bowing motion could bring you and your body into a more calm, steady state. Remember this. Again, let's inhale long, slow, deep, and bend forward. Exhale. Inhale long, slow, deep. Sit straight. Consciously aware of your breath, of your connections with Gurudev. Of your nobility. We'll now take some long, slow, deep breaths through the spine, kind of cleansing the spine and the body. Take 6 breaths. So inhale, long, slow, deep. Exhale, long, slow, deep. Hold. Inhale. Hold. Exhale. 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 Hold. Inhale. Now let's just sit for a bit. In peaceful contemplation, witnessing, keeping your attention in the cranium. If thoughts come, bring your concentration back to Baba. and know that He is your guide. Tie a tight knot to me, and I will take you across the worldly oceans. Coming now back into the room. Feeling the grace of this practice, the time with the Master. Remembering Gurudev, our humble Hariharananda. And that it is said, humility is the root, spirituality is the shoot, and divinity is the fruit. The root should be well protected with love, prayer, and submission. I bow to you all with deepest gratitude. May you go into this holy Hanukkah, Christmas, holiday season with joy and love in your hearts. May you remember those less fortunate than you and open your hearts and hands and homes that all may feel the presence of God surrounding them. Bring light and joy and cheer in a very humble way, not expecting anything for yourself, but just in the spirit of giving, the way God and Mother Nature abounds us in every day, every breath, every way. May God bless you. I'll just show Baba a little bit more.